for City Council District 6 with us today are Mr. Eddie O'Gean Jr., the incumbent, and Dr. Jose Gerardo Rosales. Ms. Zulima Lazarine declined to participate. All right, Mr. O'Gean, you're first. I will let you introduce yourself like we don't know you and tell us why you're running again for City Council.
Thank you. As you all know, my name is Eddie O'Gean. I'm currently the city representative for District 6. And the reason I'm running is because my wife and my 2 daughters continue to urge me, and I continue to tell them that I think they're a little off. But no, but again, I do appreciate the invitation. I am really glad to be here. And the reason that I'm running for city council is that I want to continue to fight the good fight. I want to continue to fight, the ever-increasing taxes. I have a record to run on. I'm very proud of my record. If you don't know me, I would suggest that you please research my voting history. I have consistently voted against all tax increases, all fees, and more importantly, I proposed a tax freeze for the elderly and disabled 4 times. My colleagues don't agree with me. I think I'm right, and I know that I can provide tax relief without affecting the rest of the city. And I continue to oppose any and all funding of unmandated services such as Project Arriba and Episo. I think those are a drain on our economy and cause our taxes to go up. And if you allow me the opportunity to continue to serve, I will continue to fight for what's right and continue to fight my colleagues on council that have never met a fee or a tax that they don't fall in love with. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gerardo Rosales. Let me introduce a little bit about myself. Currently, I'm a professor at UTEP in electrical engineering. I'm originally from Juarez, and I came with my family in 1990, but before that, I had a lot of aunts, uncles, you name it, already here in El Paso, located in the lower valley or the south side of what we call District 6 now. And in 1990, my family came in, basically my brother, my mother, and myself, and we moved to the same area, to the Del Valle area. Since then, we've been located around there. I left after coming here. I graduated from UTEP 1994, and then I had the chance to go away, like many of us do at some point, and I had the opportunity to go out to Atlanta to the Georgia Institute of Technology, one of the top universities, engineering universities in the world, to get a PhD. Then after this, I also went to work for a few companies, including Motorola back in Austin, Texas. And when the opportunity to come back to El Paso arose, I took it, without thinking twice. So I've been at UTEP for last 6-7 years. Now I saw these elections coming, and I thought it was a chance for me to have a change, to look for some new way to serve the community. Because in the first place, the reason why I came back to El Paso was because I thought I could make a difference in El Paso. So rather than just staying in Austin, some nice city with a high-paying job, I decided to take the risk and come back here. And I'm running because basically I want to change the economy of El Paso, or help to change the economy of El Paso in a way that we can keep our talent here. That we don't have to see tens or even hundreds of our young talent, or the most talented youth we have leave because there is not a chance for them to develop their careers here. And I have some ideas, which a couple of I will discuss through the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and keep the microphone, Dr. Rosales. Okay, your first question. Please tell us how you stand on the issue of health insurance for unmarried city employees.
Well, I think everybody says this become for me, that has become a real mess, really. Because I think it was not handled properly by city council, and then it just eroded or into everything that we have seen, including the November ballot. My perspective is that basically it is not unheard of, for instance, in the industry, for companies to provide health insurance to married partners. Okay? Now, those are companies. It's not a city that is surviving on taxes, right? So I think it was just not properly handled by the council, by the city council. And what I'm going to add is that I believe that everybody should have access to healthcare. Okay? And I know it's one of the most pressing issues, not locally but nationally. So we need to figure out a way to provide health services to everybody. The way it happened at City Council was not the best way to approach the problem. Okay. Now, I also believe as everything kind of moved towards gay rights and so forth, I believe that in equality for everybody, and regardless of their sexual orientation or their race or their economic situation. So from that perspective, I think I will, if there was a way to do it, which I'm not sure if it is possible, but I will support basically healthcare for everybody regardless of any particular differentiating factor in their lives. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. O'Gee?
Thank you. Well, this question for me is actually quite easy. I personally believe that every American deserves universal health care. The dilemma that we have here in El Paso is that the citizens of El Paso have voted. We have a representative type government here in El Paso. We don't have a trustee form of government. Under our current government system, the people of El Paso have voted, and it's my job basically to respect the will of the voters, which is what I have done, and that is my position. As a trustee, as some of my colleagues like to consider themselves, they like to impose their views on the majority of the citizens of this community. I don't subscribe to a trustee form of government. I never have. It's not the type that we have here in El Paso. I truly believe that the voters of El Paso have spoken. They have taken that issue away or out of the hands of City Council, and I think it is our job as elected officials and as true representatives to abide by the will of the voters. And right now, obviously the will of the voters is not to have any type of benefits. It's my job to listen and carry out your will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. O'Gee, list your top 3 priorities and specify how you intend to pay for them.
Well, my first priority doesn't cost any money, it actually saves money. I want to continue to fight for tax relief. I've continuously said it's been my bedrock principle to provide a tax freeze for the elderly and disabled. Again, my colleagues don't agree with that. But I feel that if we were to be able to cut out of the equation anyone over the age of 65 or that happens to be disabled from having to pay the ever-increasing taxes, we can move the economy forward. We have to control the spending habits of council. You continuously hear that we're either buying canyons or we're spending money on things such as EPISO and Project Arriba. And this past week, EPISO had a forum where my opponents actually agreed not only to fund Project Arriba to an excess of $300,000, but they also agreed that they wanted to spend money outside of the city limits, fixing roads in the county. I don't know about you, but I think the problems and the necessities inside the city, inside of our district, are very important. And before we start concentrating on things outside of the city limits, we have to take care of the things that are important to us here, that your tax dollars are being spent on. Not on the colonias, not providing opportunities for people to have a daycare at your expense, like my opponents agree. I don't believe that. I feel that the traffic congestion, at least in my district, is really bad. We need to focus on that. I've been working with the state officials. I used to sit on the MPO where we're working with the traffic congestion to alleviate some of the traffic that we currently face. But right now, I don't think that I want to spend any money on anything that's unnecessary. I think what I believe that we have to do is we have to save, we have to hold the line on taxes, we have to provide for the elderly and disabled, and most importantly, we have to focus on the people inside the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Azilis, your top 3 priorities and specify how you intend to pay for this.
Well, there are quite a few issues in our district. The first one, well, not in necessarily the order of importance, but I think District C is going to face over the next 2-3 years very serious traffic conditions, and we need to be able to address this and communicate, have a constant communication with the constituents so they know what to expect and how to deal with it. And over the last 6 years, I haven't really received any information about the situation on this matter. So as a representative, I would want to really provide real-time information flow and real-time and expect to receive real-time feedback from the constituency. There is no reason why we cannot do that with current technologies like basically web technologies, social networking, and so forth. So it is possible to have a real-time pulse on what the people are thinking. The second issue is obviously everybody is we're seeing a big issue with taxes coming up because of all the cuts that we're getting, and really beyond the tax, the threat of cuts that the cuts could lead to tax increases if we let it, which I don't think we should, because this is a time for providing tax incentives, not increasing taxes. I think we need to look at the deeper problem that we have in El Paso, which is economic development. There is no diversified economic platform or in our city. We depend on very specific segments, as I mentioned before, and I think we have a golden opportunity with Forbes coming up to develop other segments of industry in El Paso. And by these other segments, I mean segments related to technology. So I want to work with economic development and with other agencies in El Paso or other bodies, El Paso like Redco and BNSL and Innovate El Paso to develop.
All right. Dr. Azilis, Mayor Cook has signaled he desires to run again. Where do you stand on changing the current rules that prohibit a new term, and why?
I believe in cycles. As I think Dr. Noy was saying, I don't think of anybody who wants to, stay on the same position for 4 years, for 20 years, or something like that. Right? I think we have to be able, as a professor, I get the great honor, pleasure, privilege of every year getting new blood in my classrooms. And this basically renovates myself, renovates my ideas, because you learn from young people. You just get updated, okay? Even if it is just about the current clothing trends, but you get new ideas, new blood, fresh ideas. So I believe that we should support the idea of keeping a limited number of terms. I wouldn't vote against increasing the number of terms for either councilman or for mayor.
Thank you. Mr. O'Gean?
I wish all the questions were as easy as this one. I used to sit up until recently on the Rules LRC, the Legislative Review Committee, that was brought this particular question. I was the chair of that particular board. And as the chair, I chose not to recognize that question. So you obviously know I don't support increasing term limits for anyone. I think that, with the allotted time that we have, we can do a lot. Now I can turn that around to my colleagues and ask you the question: do you know how long it would take me to undo the damage that they have done to this city? It's great that we have term limits, because if not, I think we'd be taxed out of our homes. So I truly believe in term limits, and it was my committee that chose not to listen to increasing anyone's terms. Thank you.
All right. Mr. O'Gee, please give us your opinion of how and if the police department should process law violators who are also in the United States illegally.
I think in order for the El Paso Police to be able to do their job, there has to be a trust in the community. I feel that if you're a victim of a crime, you should always have trust in law enforcement. It doesn't matter what country you're in, but we expect a certain type of protection here in the United States. I feel that anyone should be able to call their police and have them respond to without any fear of being deported. I mean, if you're the victim of a crime, and I'm sure that you'd want all the witnesses around to be able to make that type of a phone call, and I don't think we should have a distinction in that as it sits.
Okay, what if somebody's pulled over and for something, should the police check their status?
No, for a number of years, you know, the El Paso Police Department and or recently, the Sheriff's Department have a policy in place where they don't question, you know, its citizens for any type of documentation. And, you know, I think it's these type of policies that contribute to making El Paso one of the safest cities in the country.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Rosales?
Okay, I support the current policy that is being held by the police and the sheriff's office. I am myself an immigrant, and I'm just wondering, you know, if I obviously have an accent, and probably will have an accent for the rest of my life, and I'm proud of it. And I wonder if I'm talking to somebody, maybe at a store, and if this type of law is around and they hear me that I have an accent, I wonder if I'm going to be approached, and I'm going to be asked to get my passport out or get some sort of identification to show that I'm legally here. So it is a difficult issue, I think, because I know there is at this moment we were living on an atmosphere where there is a lot of anti-immigrant laws coming up, and I don't agree with those just from the principle that I'm an immigrant, and even when some people are here illegally, I think just profiling them because of their accent or their color, it just goes against what we believe as Americans. And also, I think, you know, there is something more serious if we allow these types of laws to pass, and that is that basically we're starting to look like or having kind of some features similar to some police states, in which basically you cannot go out freely to the street. You always have to be carrying your ID, and you always look like a suspect of a crime. So I don't agree with those sort of rules.
Okay, Dr. Rosales? Oh, you got that one, Eddie, right? I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Rosales, what city and county services do you advocate consolidating?
Well, I think that's a difficult question to answer because I don't like, I think something that I think perhaps, or that what I perceive, because I have not been kind of contacted by my representatives for opinions on these issues, but basically I think this is the type of challenge that lies for us in the future, and that you need people that can handle or can have the analytical skills to handle very complex issues, very complex systems, in order to understand what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. How can you be more efficient, and how can you be less efficient if you consolidate something or the other. I do not believe that we should touch the police and sheriff's offices. I think, you know, they serve very separate communities, let's say, constituencies, very separate culture, let's say, even though we're in between the same region. So sometimes merging things can make it more inefficient than keeping it separate, because then you start confusing the employees that are taking care of that particular agency. So at this moment, I think this is a very challenging problem that, and you cannot make statements, out of the blue. You need to go really deep and understand all the requirements and all the processes that are going on within those offices.
Okay, Mr. O'Gean?
Excuse me. Thank you. When you get your tax bill and you look at it, you know that 70% of it goes to the school districts. I think one of the areas that we need to start looking into consolidating is the school districts. You have all of these superintendents earning over $250,000 a year, in some cases over $300,000 a year. Could you imagine a system that would have one superintendent, maybe an assistant, and you eliminate all of the top-heavy management? If you did that, and you do the math, you would realize that your property tax bill could be reduced by up to 35%. 35%, that is a lot. When close to 70% of your taxes go to the school district. So I would start, that type of lingo, trying to get that moving and moving forward, instead of, focusing on trying to consolidate the county and the city services. As it currently sits, we've consolidated our IT department in recent years with the county. Now the county takes care of all of the city IT work. We've saved, almost $1 million in that. We've consolidated some sheriff and police services, academies we have combined. I think that we've done a good job in consolidating what we can, but the elephant in the room, pardon my expression, is the school districts. And I think that's what we have to do is to consolidate those and get those under control. And that's where we can save almost 35%. Thank you.
Yes, we do have a lot of elephants in this room. All right, Mr. O'Gee, please give us your opinion on the privatization of garbage collection.
Again, you all know my record. I'm very pro-business. I think that the city is overburdened with creating laws and passing legislation that creates all of these hurdles for businesses and cause businesses not to prosper here in El Paso. I constantly vote against a lot of legislation that puts these type of hurdles. I believe that the private sector can do things faster, cheaper, and better, than the public sector. When you get the city involved in lots of things, they cause more damage than good. I feel that we have to let businesses grow. I don't agree that we should privatize garbage, the commercial garbage. The city used to be in the business a few years ago. Actually, when I took office, we were still in the garbage collection business for commercial clients. Since then, we've abandoned that. It was costing a lot of money. It's an industry that's very expensive, and we should just let the professionals that do this on a day-to-day basis, that focus on this, take care of this, instead of meddling in it. But in general, I think that the city of El Paso needs to help businesses instead of trying to create more laws and legislations that make it harder for them to move El Paso forward, especially small business and micro business, which is what moves the country forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rosales?
I believe that, as Mr. Atkins said a minute ago, the city should not be in the trash business. At the same time, I believe the city should have the responsibility to draft the contracts in such to provide to contract this to private businesses, but in such a way that it defends the people of El Paso, in the sense that we get the best possible service. So we need to have, besides supporting the businesses to take care of trash in our city, or making it a private, we need to also, besides the support, we also need to have accountability. So that we can expect them to provide the best possible service, and if they don't do, they can expect to pay penalties, or they can expect to lose their contracts. Basically, when you, let's say, when you privatize something, or when like a service, because this is not use any type of business, like a service, including, for instance, electricity, gas, so forth. When you do that, then what happens is that you cannot create these small monopolies that then will potentially do more harm than good. As a point in case, we can see El Paso Electric, right? That basically we don't seem to have much control over what they do, or how to keep the good quality of service. So we want to, I'm all for basically moving away this type of work from the city. But also, I need to, I will promote having the proper laws, so that basically they are held accountable on their service, on the quality of their service.
Okay. All right, Dr. Rosales, the smoking ban in El Paso has hindered legitimate tobacco businesses the opportunity of increased sales. A similar establishment in other Texas cities like Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio allow smoking in places that cater to customers who patronize these establishments, which have installed installation systems that adequately transport smoke from the building. As it currently stands under the pertaining city ordinance, non-smokers still have to deal with secondhand smoke that have been moved out of doors to the doorways and causeways of most buildings. Would you be in favor of making an exemption for shops that have these ventilation systems and derive 100% of their revenue from cigars and other tobacco products?
Well, I think this, it's this issue has been here for decades. The non-smoker versus the smoker issue, and really, typically, what we want is to protect the health of everybody. But again, everybody has the choice to decide whether they want to smoke or not. So I think businesses should have, if such systems are available, businesses should have the choice of installing them, but then they should also have the responsibility of letting all the patrons know that they have these systems installed. And then, myself as a customer, I'm going to decide whether I want to walk into a place that allows smoking or not. And because from my perspective, I wouldn't go into a place where they allow smoking. So ultimately, this can be resolved by letting the let's say the demand and supply decide for it, the market decide for it, the people, the customer decide for it. So again, we can have all sorts of rules, all sorts of regulations, all sorts of technical apparatus that allows to get rid of smoke. But at the end of the day, I think we can shift everything to the customer to decide whether they want to walk into a place that supports smoking.
Okay, Mr. O'Gean.
Talking about over legislation. I feel that if the business owner can afford to put in the system, they should be allowed to put in the system. I think as adults, we have to make a decision whether we're going to patronize those businesses or not. But as a matter of letting businesses prosper, if they can afford it, they can put it in, and then we can decide whether we're going to attend or not. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. O'Gean, you can make your closing statement.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning. All I can stress to you is that I feel that I have done a good job in representing my constituency. I would enjoy being sent back for another term. I will continue to fight the good fight, and I will continue to represent my constituency as a representative, not a trustee. I can't stress that enough. I can only tell you that my opponents, both of them, have agreed to fund unmandated services. They have both agreed basically to raise taxes. I can't do that. I will continue to fight that. I can also ask you to please look at our personal voting records. All three of us have one. And then you can decide who has taken a role in their government for years. Since I turned 18, I've never missed an election in my life. I've consistently voted in every single election. I can't say that for my opponents. Judging by their speech and their rhetoric, I can tell you that they'll fit in with the current majority of city council. That they would do. I've enjoyed being the lone vote on council because I know that I'm doing what I was elected to do, and that was to represent you and not the special interest. Thank you.
Okay, I came here with the idea that this was going to be a cordial, forum, which I feel it has not been from Mr. O'Gin here. And I think it's very easy to misrepresent what one says just by citing things without having been in that room. Yes, I did say that I'm going to support a piso because I believe that we need to give opportunities to everybody, and sometimes, and I'm a clear example of those opportunities. Where in the world can a single mother come with 2 kids, and those kids go all the way to get college degrees, and myself even a PhD? Okay? So that doesn't come from other place and having organizations and agencies in the government that help you to go through this. Okay? So that's my stance with a piso. And I have never said that I want to support tax increases, if that's because that's kind of what I heard. Okay? So it's very easy to take things out of context and then cite them without really providing the full information. That said, I just want to say that I'm running for this position because I feel that I can contribute with my skills, with my technical background, to basically provide or to be someone that can do very extended analytical thinking for many of the issues that come in that sometimes I feel the decision are just taken very lightly, just with a yes or a no, without going through the making analysis for the whole process. I believe that beyond the issue with taxes, what we're having here is an issue with economic development, and we have an issue because we're not able to grow only on the same segments of economy that we have. We have to bring new segments of economy, which in my case, based on my background, is those are technology and science. I think with Forbes here, we can develop SBIRs and STTR programs that are going to fund small businesses for this purpose.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you both.